Hi, I'm Andy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is the Great British Rank-Off. Welcome to another Great British Rank-Off. British?
British, I ruined it. The series is cancelled.
Oh, yeah. So, here we are for our second in our tiers. And today, we're going to be doing...
Second in our tiers.
Yeah. We're going to cry.
We are.
For a second.
Because today, we're doing...
Final Fantasy...
Main series protagonists. All of these are like, especially the first one, so you always have to like specify what you mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the main entries and all the heroes.
Yeah, no spin-offs, no sequels. Where's the sequels?
No.
Okay. Main series, no sequels. So basically, if you want to put it another way, every main character that was in Dissidia.
Yeah, pretty much. To simplify it.
To simplify it, that was in like Dissidia, at least NT. Because obviously they covered like pretty much everything. So yeah, we're just gonna jump straight into it. We don't need to explain what a main character protagonist is.
Well, first we should go through the ranks because we haven't done a Final Fantasy.
So we haven't done a Final Fantasy yet. So at the top we have Ultimate tier.
Yes, that's the best.
Which is top of the notch.
Top of the pops.
Top of the notch.
Our famous saying, top of the notch.
Next we have Bahamut class.
Yeah, very dragon-like.
It's like they're very saucy, but they're not quite ultimate.
No.
And you have a Crystal Warrior, they're just good.
It's good.
They're not good or bad. They're just all right. And then we've got Phoenix thumbs down.
Phoenixes have thumbs, Andrew.
They have 7 thumbs. They just like didn't tell you.
Yeah.
And then that's just like they're not great. They're just they're under average.
Unremarkable.
Yeah. And then you have Kupu.
Which are basically just terrible.
Yeah.
The worst.
Alright, so
we're gonna start chronologically, Final Fantasy 1 to 15 basically.
So let's talk about Wall.
Final Fantasy 1. Oh, he's on the phone, Andrew.
It's like I heard you
Warrior of Light, not now.
I heard you were talking about
What's that?
it.
Oh, bloody fantastic.
So with Final Fantasy 1, like a lot of people will have hopefully played it, but if you've never played Final Fantasy 1, the main character in that, there isn't really one.
No.
You start the game and you pick 4 classes between 6 different classes. And the Warrior of Light was basically introduced in Origins, was it Origins? And he was in like an opening cutscene.
Yeah, he was in a cinematic, wasn't he? They added to the PlayStation version.
Yeah. So he was just like, it was just some random like warrior fighting a dragon.
Yeah, he's just like he's basically just what the original design was for like the cover art and stuff. Like, for just a generic warrior. And
then eventually when like Dissidia came out, they made him an actual character and they just called him the Warrior of Light. So he's just an encompassing character for all the classes, but he's mainly based on the Warrior Knight. He's not
the Warrior of Night.
He's not like based on like the White Mage or the Black Mage and the Red Mage Thief and Black Belt.
Yeah.
But he just encompasses like their role in that they are there to protect the crystals. They're there to awaken the crystals again and like protect the world. They just appear.
Yeah.
They are literally Warrior of Light. So, I mean, I'm not gonna base in like what we know of him from Dissidia and how he is in Dissidia because like even though it is him, it's not like that's like his first characterization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I erected myself. So I took a Warrior.
Because he's very in Dissidia, he's very single-minded.
Yeah.
In that he is just like all about the protection of light.
Very single female lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like the basic mold of like
what the series is about.
Hero, yeah. Crystal Warrior. So what do you reckon? Should we put him in the middle?
Yeah, I think it could, because he's not.
He don't really have a character to speak of.
No.
Other than a very basic one. And in one, he don't really have one at all.
Yeah.
But we put him in Crystal Warrior because of his significance.
Yeah, because he is technically the first character in the series and stuff. And he's not bad, he's not good, he's just there.
Yeah. And he is a Crystal Warrior too, so.
Yeah.
And we went to Final Fantasy 2.
Final Fantasy 2.
Which actually had like
actual playable characters.
Yeah. And like, I mean, if one had a story, but it was all very sort of.
Yeah, they weren't.
It was all the archetype plots, like.
They were all silent protagonists.
Crystal, castle, princess, cave.
Yeah, it was just like you just went and you were like the characters basically. You were just going around and stuff. But then 2 introduced actual characters.
The characters had like a role in the story and personalities and stuff.
Did they?
Well, he tried to give it. And the main one was Firion.
Yeah, so there was four main characters in Final Fantasy 2, which were Firion, Maria. I always forget him. It's either Gus or Guy.
Yeah, one of those.
And then Leon.
Gygus.
And Gygus. And we won't go too much into the other characters because, like, we'll do that in a different story.
The ones that you mainly play as, like the
first character that's usually in the game and stuff. And Firion is, I don't know what to say.
Really, like, you don't care about it.
Yeah, like the other characters in the game get more development than
they really do.
Firion does. Like, Firion's whole thing is that he becomes part of the Resistance. He was like best friends with Maria, Guy, and Leon.
Firion sort of feels another warrior of light.
Yeah. In
sort of like he's meant to be you sort of thing, even though he's got his own name and story. But like, you don't really like. You only. I don't know. I haven't played 2 in a while, but from what I remember, it's like he doesn't have any sort of strong, sort of like unique things that happen to do with him. Just sort of like you're controlling him, sort of thing.
Yeah. And it's just like, and honestly, like, cause like I said, neither of us have beaten 2. We've both come very close, and we just haven't beaten it. Yeah. But I honestly don't remember like any like major story points with Leon, with Firion.
I'm not sure if I beat it when I replayed it. And be right at the end.
Yeah, you tried the boss thing and you died. But I just don't remember, like, other than the fact that he becomes part of the Resistance to fight against the Empire. Yeah. And he's just like goes on all these missions with Maria and Guy.
Yeah, because the hometown was like destroyed.
Yeah, the hometown and all this, and then like as soon as the game starts, you like lose.
Yeah, because like Guy or whatever, he's like a simple buffoon.
A simple buffoon that can talk to the Moogles or beavers. Sorry, beavers.
Talk to the beavers. And then I don't know.
Maria.
I mean, she's a bit generic as well.
She is generic, but she at least gets character development in the fact that she is Leon's sister. So she gets a character arc based on that because stuff happens with Leon. But we won't talk about that today. But Firion just feels like he is the less developed because even like you get all these other characters as the game goes through, like Minwoo, whatever they decide to call the Dragoon, because his like name changed from like Gavin or something to like Ricard and then Richard.
Gavin.
And then like Layla, and they all seem to get like big development.
They had more character development than the main one.
So where would you put?
It's either Kupu or Phoenix Thumbs Down. I don't know if he's quite a Kupu, but
yeah, I'd say Phoenix Thumbs Down. I think he's going to end up being like really far in that category. He's going to be the end of that. I think because he's just like
Phoenix Thumbs Down.
Next up, we have Final Fantasy 3, and we have the Onion Knight.
Yeah, it was another case of Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah,
the original. Where you have your 4 classes.
Yeah, you have the 4 classes, and you have all 4 characters start off as the Onion Knight in the original Final Fantasy 3. They all start off as the Onion Knight. Yeah. And when they did the remake, they actually gave the characters names and personalities, but they were just sort of like
He was just sort of like scattered in there. Sort of.
It's kind of like set dressing, really, wasn't it? It was just
Yeah.
like, they were just like
it was still the base game, but then you'd like refer to him, and it'd have the occasional like new sort of dialogue and stuff.
yeah, and it was just like, oh, we're all orphans, so we're warriors of light. And there was like a couple of scenes where there was dialogue, but then if you actually play the original, there was dialogue between the Onion Knights.
Yeah.
But like you just didn't know who was talking.
Yeah, because it was just like, oh, Onion Knight 1 to 4.
Yeah. And it was interesting because like all of them were Onion Knights and they were all different colours, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But overall, like, they're okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because there's no defining feature about them apart from the fact that they are an Onion Knight.
Mm-hmm.
He is an Onion Knight. And again, like we said, we're not covering like Dissidia, we're talking about the actual games.
Yeah.
So
I think in terms of if we're using the Onion Knight to encompass like how do it in the remake as well,
yeah.
I think that probably knocks them up a bit because
Yeah.
they then gave them like individual sort of designs and characters.
Yeah.
It's kind of personalities.
I'd say there's not a lot to say about the Onion Knight or the characters and stuff because you can't really say, oh, Luneth is like the main character. He's just the first character you get.
Yeah, he's just sort of like a figure. Sort of thing.
And like they're all equal. They're just all equal and stuff. I think maybe Crystal Warrior, but not above Warrior of Light.
Yeah. It's technically the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the same thing. But then, like, the good thing, well, not the good thing, the interesting thing about Fantasy 3 is that it's all about balance.
Yeah.
And it was all like, the light side is doing this, or the dark side is evil, so you got to take out the dark. And, like, then in, like, 1,000 years, it's going to be like, oh, you've got to take out the light. So yeah, it was all like, it was always a shift in balance. It was either too much light or too much dark.
Yeah.
So I always found that interesting.
Yeah. It's very, very good.
Yeah. Speaking of light and darkness, next up we have Cecil Harvey.
Cecil. Put him in a best for Cecil.
Cecil Harvey. So this was like the third Final Fantasy where they did.
Yeah, they gave the main character a big story.
Yeah, there was like really good character development in Final Fantasy 4. I mean, there was good character development in 2, but like we said, like Firion just didn't get really.
Well, it wasn't really good character development. It was just
No.
character development.
Whereas this game had like so much character development for so many characters. But obviously today we're just talking about Mr. Harvey.
Mr. Harvey.
So Cecil, when you start the game, he is a Dark Knight, and he's basically got like this constant like weight on his
Yeah,
heart.
'cause his kingdom's basically invading everywhere.
His kingdom's invading everyone. He's going around killing everything, and he's just like, oh well, I don't like it. Why are we suddenly doing this? What is going on? Why are we going around gathering all these crystals? And the king's basically like, oh, go on this mission, and you blow up a village of summoners.
Yeah.
To like wipe them out, and like, so that's when you fully see like Cecil's like
morality.
Yeah, his morality come into it, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna protect this girl, and I'm gonna do all the like, I'm gonna be like this, and I'm gonna help the world, basically.
Yes.
And then a bunch of stuff happens, and he ends up getting sent to. He ends up going to what's like in like Fabul or something.
Yes.
I can't remember what like the kingdom's called. He ends up in like going through, and he meets Rosa again. His like love interest. There's a big character development there. There's a love interest. There's like
there's a rival.
Yeah, with Cain, and then there's like the father figure in Sid, and then there's Edward.
and the rest.
But Cecil's like his whole morality thing, where he's just like, oh well, I don't want to be like this. I want to protect. I want to help. I want to save the world, sort of thing. And then you end up becoming a paladin, which was like a big sort of like stark contrast, because obviously he's gone from the dark to the light, and it was just like it was a real big change for the character. And then he became like this like person who could use white magic, and he could. Yeah, and he was like to protect everyone, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm
real good Samaritan.
I'm a good guy," sort of thing. And then you learn about something about the moon.
Yeah, and he just goes from there, really. Then the moon comes along, and the moon turns out to be his dad.
But what do you think of Cecil, Daniel?
Right, he was the first proper like likable character.
Yeah.
Because he had personality.
Yeah, he had a good personality, and
he had a what do you call it? Like a reason for doing the things he did. Basically.
Yeah. He wasn't just like, oh, I'm a warrior of light, I need to go here and do this sort of thing. He wasn't anything like that.
Even with Furion, he was like, the personality was just the kids.
Yeah.
They all had the same sort of goals, and like they were all in it together sort of thing. They didn't all come from separate things, they all came from the same thing.
Yeah, it was a very much big thing in the first 3 Final Fantasies that you started off with like your whole team.
Yeah.
Apart from like Leon. But with Cecil, it was like that was like the first one where they sort of really built the story as it went along, and they built of like, oh, you go to this location, you get this character. It was very similar to Final Fantasy 2 in a lot of ways, and I think they did that on purpose because of the whole like it came out in America as Final Fantasy 2 and stuff.
Yeah.
But with Cecil, I just think like he was a really good, proper first attempt at a developed main protagonist.
Yeah.
Danny, you're not on the thing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Daniel? I was
trying to think where to put him.
I think Bahamut class.
Yeah.
Because he's not quite ultimate.
No.
But I think he's high Bahamut.
Well, for high as Bahamut.
Bahamut high. That's the new.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I think he deserves a spot there because he was the first fully developed main character sort of thing, and he just like he was really interested in the fact that he went from a Dark Knight to a Paladin, and they developed him really well. I think it's kind of petered out like sort of towards the end.
Yeah, well,
it didn't, but it petered out for a while. But I think that was more because it was to develop all the characters.
Yeah, it focused on others. Like Edge and stuff.
Yeah, Edge and Kane. Kane had like this huge character arc, but Kane was always like a big character within it, and he was the rival to Cecil. So it was like it made sense as to why they were like that.
And like Goldberg and stuff.
Yeah. So you had like a big character arc, and then like you go to the moon, and then you find out that like Cecil's from the moon or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what?
Classic Final Fantasy just goes off the rails.
Yeah. Like you're gonna go to the moon on a whale.
It's like, what?
But it was actually a spaceship, just called the Lunar
Whale. Off you
go.
Classic.
So that's classic Final Fantasy 4. Cecil, Mr. Harvey.
In many ways, 4's class is the first like proper one.
Yeah.
It's the one that introduced JTB and like proper character development.
Yeah.
So next
we have Bart's.
Butts.
Dave.
Dave Butts.
Dave Butts. So Dave my Butts. I was like, what?
So sorry.
So what should we talk about with Bart's? He's like another one who had like some really good character development.
Yeah. I've continued again, but 5 was really random because it felt really different and like cartoony.
It did.
Which is weird because 4's graphics weren't amazing, but like
it was very dark.
It seemed, yeah. And then 5's graphics was really like bright and colourful.
They were really bright and colourful, and then like there was just like this undertone of evil.
Yeah. Gotta have the undertone of evil trees.
So Bart he's just like, obviously starts off and he's just like...
It's probably the most carefree one so far.
He's just like, because he just like, you start off and he just lives in a forest. But he's not living in a forest, he's just in a forest.
Just wandering around with his chocobo.
With Boko.
Boko.
And he just like lives with, he just like hangs around with Boko all the time.
Yeah, it's suspicious.
And he's just really carefree, and he ends up becoming a warrior of light by pure chance.
Yeah.
Like all these characters end up together, and they're like, oh well, we can't sail around anymore, so we may as well go and check on the wind crystal just to make sure it's okay. And then because of that, they become warriors of light. Like the crystal chooses them as warriors of light. And he has some big story points, but mostly it's about Lena and Faris.
Yeah.
And Galuf and Krilly.
He's sort of the first character, sort of like the archetype that like Zidane and stuff would fill, where he's like just really like laid back and easygoing. But then obviously his character develops, and you find more about him later on. Sort of.
Yeah, like he's like his dad was an original warrior of light, and that's why the crystal probably chose him. and stuff, and it's just like, oh, that's interesting.
Okay, so it's not just a random.
It's not just some happy-go-lucky guy with a chocobo.
Yeah, cowboy.
And like whenever they reference him anywhere else, he's always the mimic.
Yeah, I guess because that's what 5 had there.
Yeah, it's just like
a mimic, but you could just.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
He was like an interesting character, but he wasn't overly developed.
He wasn't a super strong character.
No, but
his backstory was the strongest thing about him. Sort of thing, more than his actual.
He had like a good like backstory, he had good lore behind him, and like his family and his history.
It's a character he's like quite comedic.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of like comedy stuff in 5.
Yeah, there was. With the whole fucking virus thing, but we're like, we won't go over that. So there's not much to say about Bartz, to be honest.
No,
he's just. It's like once they get to like later Final Fantasies, that's when we start to see like obviously bigger development and stuff. But then again, Cecil had like some really good development.
Yeah, I think Cecil had more of a consistent development throughout the game because it was all focused around him for the large part. While Bartz is just sort of there. He gets wrapped up in his thing, and then you see like a flashback later on, and you understand.
You just keep seeing flashbacks of like him, and then his mum dies.
Yeah,
and he's from like this village in the north, and the music's like really depressing when you go there.
Yeah, and that's like mainly his sort of like backstory.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Where would you put him?
Crystal.
Yeah, I was thinking Crystal above those two.
Yeah. Yeah, because he actually has a personality.
Yeah. A
Pispinel.
Pispinel. Scarlet Pispinel.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
While I'm doing this, why don't you start the next one?
The next one. Oh, things finally kick off, Andrew.
They do.
And to kick off, they do.
And who do we have?
We have Terra.
Tina. Bradford. Terra Bradford.
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner Bradford.
Yeah, 556. So, it's like when you overlook this up, it's always like, oh, is Locke the main character or thingy? But it's like, oh, Terra's often considered the main character because the majority of the story focuses around her.
Yeah, Terra. I always consider Terra the main character. I've never considered anyone else.
I think when I first played it, I thought it was Locke because he played a lot of him at the start. And I was like, oh, Locke's the main character.
Yeah.
But yeah, Terra.
You start off the game as Terra, and she's like been brainwashed.
Yeah.
Basically, she's like got this crown that controls her.
She's been raised by the Empire and like been controlled because she's the last magician of her kind.
Yeah. She can use magic.
Yeah,
and like magic's really rare in the world.
Yeah.
It's like
Order Magi.
Yeah.
That wiped out like magic users. And then they find like she's there again. And they find another Esper.
Yeah.
They send her to get it, and she has a reaction.
She has a reaction to it, and it's just like, whoa, what's going on, sort of thing. And like you're kind of confused as like to why, like obviously she has magic and why she is the way she is. She's very like meek and like she's like Locke is basically like, oh, I'm gonna protect you.
Yeah.
Which is a running theme with thieves.
Yeah, do
but as the story goes on, you start learning a lot more about Terra, and like she's part summon, basically. She's part Esper, which is what they are in the game. And there's like a huge arc with her about like she just suddenly changes, and you're like, oh shit, what's happening, sort of thing.
Yeah. It's all pink now.
And you have to go off and you have to find her, and she gets that arc, and like it's just all about her, and like all the Espers and stuff. It all comes back to her.
Yeah.
Like at the end, like all the Espers start disappearing and going back to their world, and you're like, oh, is Terra gonna die, or is she gonna go back to there, or is she gonna stay there? And like her Esper half ended up going back there or something.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. What'd you say about 6? It's just really strong. All the characters in the game has like the most playable characters.
But they're all really strong.
Yeah, even the crap ones have like character development. And obviously, because Terra's like the main focus of like most of the story.
It's all about like getting her to the Esper, like at the start of the game, and then you finally get her to the Esper, and then she like changes, she transforms. Hey, look, it's raining.
Yeah,
a perfect time for like putting the washing out, but. And she just gets like this huge arc, and then once you get her back, what happens after that?
The world blows up.
Yeah, the world does blow up, and then she's like looking after orphans.
Yeah.
And she's like protecting against Humberbar.
Humberbar.
So like, because then it's really interesting because of the way they do 6 is like you can play the game with like any character that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you get them and stuff, you don't have to have Terra on your team.
Yeah.
So this is the first Final Fantasy where that was an option.
Yeah.
Like you could actually replace your team and stuff, because in all the others so far, you didn't. You either only had 4 characters.
We had like guest characters and then
You had guest characters and then stuff, and they'd leave. But then they'd leave, or like something else would happen, and then they'd change and stuff. So there was only ever usually like about 4 characters. In 4's case, there was 5 like main characters that you ended up with, and you couldn't change them at the end of it, which was fine because it was the best team. But with 6, this was the first one where you actually had the ability to change them. So then once you actually did get to the World of Ruin, you didn't start off as Terra there, and you had to go off and find everyone, and you found Terra, and she was like looking after the orphans.
Because in like the World of Ruin, the main characters seem to be like sellers.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
So it's interesting because like Sellers was like another character that was big in the game.
Yeah, it's like Sellers, Locke, and Terra. Like sort of the 3 that you have most prominence.
Yeah. So and Terra, after you get a Magicite, I'm trying to think what happens like once you get her back.
Is that after the Magicite facility?
Yeah, you get all the Magicite, don't you? And then you give it to her, and she turns back into a human. Don't you go into the cave of Origins? The cave of Origins?
Something like that, I think so.
And then and you take Terra there. You don't have to, but you take Terra there, and like she opens the door to the Esper realm, and they all come out and they start attacking everyone. So she always just has like this prominent role within the story.
Yeah.
And like you see her go from like someone who is, like I said, is really meek, and she just like she's scared because she's got magic. And she becomes like really sort of confident as the story goes on, and she becomes like this big presence. And because she does have the power of the Esper and stuff to morph into it and stuff, she just becomes like really confident in herself.
That's also like as part of her like playability, because it's like she actually turns into the Esper.
It's not like she just does it randomly. That's her class, because everyone who's like in 6 has like a class assigned to them.
Yeah. Oh no, that's like after 4 is the first one, sort of.
Yeah, 4 had like classes to them, but then like they weren't like prominent classes. They weren't saying like, oh, this is a Dark Knight, this is the thing. They just like their abilities basically said like
they
were.
And it's like basically. That's like what 9 will do later. So.
Yeah. So I think.
Ultimate Tier?
Yeah, I think Ultimate Tier.
She might be at the bottom of Ultimate Tier.
Yeah, but right now she is the best around. Nothing's going to keep her down. So right now Terra is an Ultimate Tier.
Yeah.
I think that's a deserving spot for Terra.
Yeah. She's very strong character.
Now we're on to what was probably a lot of people's first Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's the Proud Clod.
Proud Clod. We've got Mr. Strife.
Yeah.
Cloud Final Fantasy 7 Strife.
They were like, we can't keep calling people Bradford. We've got to gotta give them like
Bradford and Harvey.
We gotta give them a non-pedestrian last name.
Yeah. So they
Strife, because he's full of it.
Yeah. So, go on, Daniel.
He was right emo bastard, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at the start. He was just like, I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm just here for the money. Like, I'll do this for you, but I'm just really, really here for the money.
I'm just really moody.
Really moody. Like, he was probably like the first moody protagonist.
Yeah.
Out of the ones that did actually have proper development. Because, like I said, Cecil was very, conflicted in himself.
Yeah.
Terra was very meek at the start, and Bartz was just jovial.
Yeah, it reflected the game, because where 6 was, steampunk technology.
Yeah.
Was still very much in with magic and stuff. 7 was full on industrial, real world, which was one of the first games to ever do it. So it was
it was very different.
Clouds personality sort of reflected his environment.
Yeah. And he's another one that, again, like, as he progressed through the story, he did change a lot.
Yeah, he actually explained it. It's not just for the sake of being edgy and stuff.
He's just like, you find out why, and like, he's just got like, he's
up.
just completely messed up. Aren't we all, Daniel?
Yes, because of Genova. There's a little bit of Genova inside all of us. That sums up Cloud's. So sums up Cloud's story arc.
And he gets like obviously really good development with all the characters in the game. Yeah, I feel like
ex-soldier.
He's an ex-soldier. He's from the town of Nibelheim. Because it was all like what was interesting about Final Fantasy VII was like it was all very Norse infused. Like it was very based around Norse mythology, but there was like no real sort of reference to Norse mythology in the game.
Like,
it was
not
just all
visually,
the names,
but the names and stuff.
Yeah,
all like references to it,
which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cloud was like obviously you said he was very emo. He was very just like
he's basically stereotypical like stoic man with a troubled past.
Yeah, but you don't really know his troubled past, like because it doesn't really explain it. But then you start seeing it in flashbacks.
He does explain it sort of like after the main section of the game, after Midgard.
Yeah, and then like that turns out to be a lie. So it's just like
it's actually someone else's memories that is used because he's like massively traumatized.
Yeah,
so
that I think Cloud's was like. Growing up, like everyone was like, "Oh, Cloud's really good," and you know, you just think of him as just like this guy with the Buster Sword and stuff, and that's why people like him.
Yeah, because he's cool.
And because he's cool.
He's cool to your teenage self.
Yeah, but like actually, now that we're grown up and stuff, and well, physically grown up, mentally no.
Mentally, I'm still there.
But I think Cloud's just like he's such a good character. They did such a good job with Cloud.
And he's very of his time, like now you look back and sort of roll your eyes like, oh, very edgy.
Yeah,
like,
very edgy, but then you just see like how he grows within the story and stuff, and like how he's like obviously there's Tifa, his childhood friend, but then there's Aerith.
Yeah.
And like you see him develop
sort of like relationship with others.
Yeah.
It's quite strong.
He becomes like this big friend to everyone sort of thing.
Cloud, big friend to everyone.
And you're like at the start of the game, even though at that point in the story though, like he's starting to change slightly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect him to go and be in a play with like Tifa or Aerith, or like Yuffie or Barrett, depending on who.
Yeah, basically all the other characters act as a way to like bring him out of his shell and sort of like show his real personality.
And then obviously with no spoilers to events.
Everyone knows, but
no, but I'm not going to say it, Daniel, because there'll be someone.
They all die. There you go.
They all die. That really sort of like is a shock to his system, sort of thing. And like he just like loses it from that point on, and then like he does actually have like a big breakdown.
Yeah, he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he's in a wheelchair, like, and he ends up in the live stream. But he does end up with like really bad macro poisoning.
Yeah. But he survives because like all stuff in him.
Yeah. And then Tifa and him go through the live stream, which is like a really long section that takes far too long to get through.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a save point there, is there?
No, I think so.
It's like, okay, I get it. And that's just like a huge like character development, and that's when you find out that Cloud was there in Nibelheim, but he wasn't the soldier. That was Zack, and
yeah, it was his friend Zack.
It was just like it was really intricate and like how he did it, and then like from that point on, he becomes like even bigger in himself, and like he becomes like this just
keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, he just
it's like giant home.
What the... just covered in gold.
Yeah.
So.
Also, his dynamic with Sephiroth was good. But
yes.
That's sort of more like...
We just like haven't mentioned Sephiroth. It's just like the whole thing about him.
Yeah, he's big dynamic with Sephiroth.
And then it was just like, oh, well, that's not Sephiroth at all. So it's yeah.
But in a way, it's the Sephiroth in his mind sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just all about like Cloud being like in his own head.
Yeah.
For a lot of it, and it was just like it was really sort of like conflicted and confusing as to what was actually happening.
Oh, yeah,
especially with all the all the translation errors.
Yeah.
But like, I think.
Where would you put him best?
Yeah, I'd put him above Terra.
Yeah.
Just because of all his development, just even.
I'll give you Bianca point.
Yeah.
I am Bianca point.
Bianca point. I think he's there not just because of it, like his weapon,
Not his big girthy weapon,
but because like he just is a really, really, really good character. Sorry, I just saw the next one.
I know.
I think he's deserving of that spot.
Yeah. And not just because he's really cool, because we're 13.
Yeah. Now, speaking of emo.
Well, he took notes from Cloud and set him on fire.
And became even more emo.
Yeah.
He even got the hair. So, we're talking about Squall.
Yeah.
Squall.
Impressions of Final Fantasy VIII Squall.
Leonhardt. Leonhardt, Lionheart.
Yeah. Leonhardt was Leon.
Yeah, but isn't he called Squall Leonhardt?
What's Lionheart?
Oh, maybe. I don't
it
know.
probably is Leonhardt, isn't it? I don't know. Kingdom Hearts threw me because it was like, oh, Leon.
Yeah, I thought like when they did that with Kingdom Hearts, I thought that was like, obviously it's supposed to be like a running joke.
Yeah.
But I thought he went into hiding or something, and it was going to come out as Squall eventually. It
Yeah.
just never did. It's like no, that's just a joke.
It's stuck now. Yeah, Squall.
Squall.
What was your first impressions of Squall?
Like when my first impression of Squall was just like I didn't really get him.
No, I didn't.
I just like didn't get like what he was about or anything. When I first played Final Fantasy VIII, I just saw this guy with like a gun sword and
An attitude problem.
Yeah, with an attitude problem, and I was like, oh, okay. Because that was like technically the first Final Fantasy I played, but I didn't really understand what was happening and didn't understand how to save it, so it's just like just didn't know what was going on. But then I played Final Fantasy 7, and then like I got into 8, and then that was my real first impression of 8, and I was like, he's all right. I'm like, yeah, he's got a cool weapon. Again, like Cloud, he had a cool weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But he just like didn't like anyone. He just had like a massive attitude against.
This internal monologue.
Yeah, it was very, very internal monologue-ish. Just like, oh, like, why is this happening? What is this? And he was just like, he was always like kind of in his room, and he was talking to himself in his head and all these things. And then Renoa comes along, and he just like he's really pissed off with Renoa for like the first half of the game, or at least up to like disc 2.
Yeah, which is annoying.
She's just like annoyed. He's just like, oh,
whatever.
I've just got to protect her. I've just got to do this because it's my job. I'm a seed now.
It's like, I've got to get a grip. You're like 18 or something.
Got to do this. I've got to
go fast.
I don't want to be out with Zell, and I don't want to be out with Selfie. I'll do
Even
whatever.
His teacher's more like laid back than he is.
Yeah, he's just like, I'll just do it because it's like my role. It's my obligation to do this because I'm a seed. I'm trained to be a seed. This is what I've got to do. I've just got to do it. Whereas the other characters sort of like are more. Zell's obviously like very sort of. I don't know how he describes Zell.
It's just a comedy character.
Yeah, it's a comedy character. And then Selfie is just like this happy-go-lucky girl.
Yeah, she's just like a big kid.
And then Quistis is she's very stern at first, but then she grows.
Yeah.
And like she has like her own like internal monologue that she has to deal with. Like she's an instructor. Inspector
Gadget.
Inspector Trape. And yeah, she just she has her own stuff going on. Then Renoa comes into it, and she really starts changing Squall. At first, not for the better, because he becomes more angry when she's around.
Yeah.
And they just like hate each other. They don't hate each other, but they don't like each other.
She just wants to be all up in his grill. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
and it's just like whatever. I don't care.
Gay.
And then he just like he keeps collapsing and going into the dream world. It doesn't turn out to be a dream, but
yeah. I don't know.
They all have, and then you kind of find out why he is the way he is, and it makes sense because he was like he felt abandoned, so he had to be like this. He had to basically look after himself because no one wanted to adopt him. Basically, his mom died, but you don't really. It's never explained.
No.
That it is his mom, but it is his mom.
Yeah, it is.
And you just find out all this like stuff like, oh, he was at the orphanage with like 5 of the other characters for some reason.
Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah. They were just like...
It was just too convenient.
Yeah, and they all forgot that they were there because of the summons in the game that made you forget.
Yeah, and it's like, there's a plot device.
And it's like, oh, right, okay. And the only one who didn't forget was Irvin, because, like, he didn't have GFs at that point.
Yeah.
Or something. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
it's just a sharpshooter or whatever. That right.
And then like, that's kind of where, like, Squalls kind of starts to open up a bit more, I think.
Mm.
And that's when you sort of realise that he does love Rinoa.
Yeah.
And then she goes into a coma. Like,
because
of Squall.
Because he's so fucking boring.
He's like...
yeah, it's not. He just fell asleep.
He's a good... I think he's a good character.
He's quite a strong character, but personally I don't like him.
Yeah, he's just like...
I find him unlikable.
For most of the game, he's
that's
just...
the point, though, because he's meant to be standoffish.
Yeah.
Right?
For most of the game, he's just a massive dick. Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why we just don't like him that much.
But also, one thing we haven't really been taking into account too much yet, mainly because a lot of the early characters were sort of like classes, like it could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't really taken into account too much, like what they like to play as.
Yeah, the Squalls.
So Squalls like.
The problem with Final Fantasy 8 was like that they, even though they all had their own weapons, they had limit breaks and stuff. But outside of that, they weren't that unique. They didn't have their own abilities.
Gunblade was cool.
Yeah, his Gunblade was cool. I think his Gunblade.
That's probably one of the most
bumps him up.
original weapons.
Yeah, to actually like press the trigger and stuff.
That was cool. Yeah.
I think he's not ultimate here. He's definitely not ultimate.
No.
I'd say he's probably lower Bahamut, not quite Crystal, because he does get like a redemption arc.
I think so, yeah.
Like he's like, obviously like we said, he's just like a massive dick for like most of the game, and then all of a sudden, like once he starts developing and becoming out of his shell, that's when you really see him shine, and like you're like, oh wow, he's actually a caring person.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like takes the piss out of him for like having internal monologues.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. So I think like he's not ultimate here, but I don't think he's above Cecil.
No.
I think Cecil's above Squall. But I think Squall is a good character, but he's not the best character.
No. That's just our personal preference because we don't necessarily like relate to him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 9.
No,
Zidane.
Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
No, well, Zidane. Zidane tribal? Yes. because he's got a monkey tail, so he's tribal.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He's got a rad tribal tattoo, bro.
Now, what were your first impressions of Zidane?
I thought he was hilarious because he's just like after the women.
Yeah.
It's like the gropes. God, it's arse. Like, oh, soft.
Oh, soft.
Alright, Zidane. Sexual harassment in the workplace. Yeah, he's just like really like. I felt like a refreshing character because he's just all like chilled and just like doing his own thing.
Yeah, it was a really like, again, it was a stark contrast because 7 you had Cloud, who was very stoic, and then you had Squall, who was
them two were like dead serious. And
and then Zidane was, and that's why I think at first I didn't like Zidane because of that. Yeah, I didn't like him. It was just like, I don't really care. And then like once I played it a second time around, I was like, okay, like I understand now.
I think initially I didn't like him because of his hair.
Yeah.
I was like, that's such a boy band haircut. That's stupid.
Especially for the type of world that Final Fantasy 9 was as well. But I really appreciate Zidane. Like, I think he is like a really underrated character.
He's one of the strongest ones in my opinion.
Yeah, his whole character development is so good.
Yeah.
And he's like a thief, and then he's like into the ladies, and you see him like hitting on everyone.
Yeah.
Even Rachel. And like his whole arc with like Vivi, especially like with all the characters and
stuff. I was gonna say like his relationship to like characters like Vivi and like younger characters and Quina and stuff. It's like you're like really accepting, and like and with Vivi is like he's sort of like a father figure.
Yeah, he's
and,
like
seeing other kids in the game who are like just random street kids, and he's like really like
because he's like
an orphan.
He was an orphan. He was adopted by Tantalus. So I feel like he is like that. He's so like caring towards younger people because that's what he sees like part of himself in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously with like Garnet, he's just like, cheeky.
I'll get him in that tang.
And then like his back and forth with Steiner is always like hilarious.
Yeah, because Steiner's all like the last two ones we just did. He's all like serious and like stoic.
And he's just like,
lighten up, you rusty asshole.
And it's all about, and he just wants to protect Garnet. That's all his like like when you do the first part of the game, he just wants to make sure that he fulfills his mission to help Garnet.
Yeah, and he always wants to do his own thing, even like against Tantalus's orders and stuff.
He's very outspoken and he's very carefree.
Yeah, because they're the typical band of thieves that are sort of like good at heart, sort of thing.
And even then, like as the game progresses, then you find out like these big story points with Zidane. He does get into his serious moment, and that's kind of like
it's like the origin story. Isn't
it? It's like in his origin story, and that's like a really emotional, hard-hitting scene. And then he like really questions himself because he feels like he's not him.
Yeah,
and it's like it's really sad to see it, like him go
like
through
his whole life was a lie, sort of thing.
Yeah, and then like all the characters, like his relationship with the characters, like really pulls him out of it.
Yeah, because he sort of acts as like drawing all. I mean, most of the characters, that's their point, is that they like draw all these random characters together. And it's the same sort of thing, but often it's because of the story. I mean, in 9 it's the story, but also I think Zidane plays a big part.
Yeah, he's like he brings them all together. Like even with Amarant, like Amarant's just kind of like there,
quite extra. Yeah,
he's like you don't really need Amarant, but Zidane. There's something about Zidane that really intrigues Amarant.
Like, who is that monkey man?
Matt Flynn said, "Oh, his weapon's his hair," and I was like, "No, it's not. Shut up."
He's a massive.
It's like his massive helmet hair.
Yeah.
He brings out then Aiko as well. He brings like
again.
She's another orphan character, and she's like very like. I'm a little shit sort of thing. That's basically her personality. It's like she's a little brat, and she thinks she's better than she is because she's like the only one of her kind, sort of thing. Which you find out is not true, but she had to be like that because she had to survive on her own.
Yeah,
for a while, and then Zidane helps her become like open up and realize that she's not on her own anymore. She doesn't have to be like that. She's just a kid, so she comes with you anyway. So
yeah,
I just love like everyone's like reaction to Quina in the game. It just like makes me laugh, especially Zidane's because he's just like, oh yeah, like I forgot about you. So it's just like, oh Quina, you're here, you're alive.
Is that line? There's a line he says, I think it's during like an ACE, and he's like, oh, I guess being from another species, you're not bothered by people or something, and I know it like it means something like really like accepted and nice, but it comes across as like, oh, you're from another species, you don't get it. It's like, alright, Zidane, you arsehole.
And then like partway through the game, like everyone ends up going off with someone else. I think the character that's like kind of most accepting of Quina is Aiko.
Yeah.
And like Quina like there's that cutscene where like Gilgamesh is after her because he like sees her with Amarant.
Wait, I can't remember that.
It's like an ATN, like they're in Trino and like the four-armed guy, which goes up and he sees Aiko talking to Amarant, and like Quina turns up like and she goes, oh shit, he's got a bodyguard. Quina chases him up and she's like, what the hell? But Quina helps Aiko with like the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah.
And that scene and things, but like there's a whole bit where like all the other characters like they go off together, so like Steiner and Vivi and like Aiko and Garnet and stuff, and you end up with Quina, and that whole like section is just
funny.
It's just funny, it's genius, and it's like really, you see like a really big sort of like development between Zidane and Quina from that point on, and it's just like it's fantastic. I just think Zidane's just like, because he touches so like he's kind of like Sora in a way. That he touches so many people.
What? Touches so many children.
Yeah, touches so many. Better not, doesn't he? He touches Vivi. Like Vivi's hat goes bing.
It's like, come on, let's go pee off his wall.
Oh yeah, he has a nice little tinkle scene. So for that reason alone, I think he's ultimate here.
Yeah, the very top. I think better than Cloud.
It's hard. I'd say they're on par with each other.
Yeah,
but you can't really.
I'll accept that. I'll go with that.
So I'm gonna put him like behind Cloud, but I'm gonna say they're equal. To me, they're equal. Like, because they're very different characters.
Yeah.
They're not the same at all. So like, they're so different, but they're so like entangled with all the other characters within their story. I think that's just like a really big boost for them.
Yeah.
In different ways. and they both they kind of like polar opposites to each other as well, because Cloud starts off stoic and becomes like, he opens up and becomes like not carefree, but he becomes more friendly and more whereas Zidane starts off as friendly and like a ladies man and stuff, and then he has his big like detrimental arc later on, but then he goes back to being Zidane, so it's fine.
Touching ladies.
Touching ladies, but then that sort of stops as well. That's one thing we didn't talk about. That stops, and the fact that like 9, we've touched on it being a thief, but like that's what his big thing is, that he's a thief, and it was like the first time they've ever had a thief as the main character, and it was really interesting. And like 9 revolved a lot around stealing and treasure and finding treasures and stuff. So it, like the game was very centralized around what Zidane does. Which is fantastic. And like as I was saying, like with his ladies man thing, that kind of stops when he realizes that he's in love with Garnet, and that's kind of like not too early on. I'd say probably like partway through disc 2. Like I think because he like in disc 1 you see him do all this stuff, and then like all the serious stuff happens, and he goes to try and find Zidane, and then there's like the war that happens, and. Does that say he goes to try and find Zidane?
He sure did.
He goes to try and find Garnet.
Find himself.
We all need to go and find ourselves sometimes. And then it's all about protecting her. And
stop it.
Zidane?
Hello?
Yeah, it's just like he falls in love with Garnet, and then you see like him change from that point on. Like from this, like sort of like towards the end of disc 1, you start to see him change. He becomes very single-minded with Garnet, like trying to protect her and trying to find her. But he's also there to help, like VB. He's also there to help, like Freya, because they go to Bermesia. And he helps Freya.
Yeah, because he knew Freya from.
He wants to help out.
Rachel.
So he's just like, he's a fantastic character. I don't think there's much more to say.
It's the most likable one.
Yeah, I think it's the most likable out of all the characters. A lot of people might not agree with that, because like
I think he based it on like his style though, because like Cloud and Squall were all cool. And badass, and Zidane's more like this little monkey thief boy.
The fact that he's part of monkeys is hilarious.
With his boy band hair. It's like, oh, he's not cool. But actually, he's one of the best ones.
It's definitely
because our opinion is the only opinion of men. And now we're on to someone who's also cool.
Would you say he was cool?
No, it was the first PS2 Final Fantasy, Andrew. It was Final Fantasy 10.
I think he's a little dweeb. He's a little nerd.
I was not a fan of Tidus. I liked his story and how it all worked out. But that's always got going for it.
The problem with Tidus or Tidus, whatever you want to say his name, like he felt he felt really disconnected from everyone. Even like because no one ever said his name. And like
it was the point. It was clever. Like but like when playing it for the first time, it just felt really weird.
It's just like I don't really feel.
But no wonder we don't know how to pronounce his name. No one said it.
And then like when they said it in Dissidia, I was like,
who? What?
Turdus. I mean, he's an interesting character. He's the warrior class. He gets like I don't know, what would you consider? Would you consider like warrior time mage? Because like his abilities all revolve around his initial abilities all revolve around time.
Yeah, maybe. Probably because it's like from time and space and
dream. That's true.
But then the whole thing is like he's a dream. It's like
alright, okay.
What part of his history was real at all?
None of it. It was real to him.
What about his dad? Was his dad real?
No, because like what the whole thing was, from what I understood, is that like for instance like Shuyin happened. That Shuyin died or whatever.
But Jex was real.
No.
Wasn't real either.
No. Like they.
So he basically did the same story as Tidus did with Udismal. Like he was the dream again. Jack was. None of them were real, because it was like saying like they were dreaming for 1,000 years, so 1,000 years had happened in Zanakin. So Tidus and Jet. I think I knew that, but like I haven't played it so long, so just like.
So like all when they originally dreamt like Zanakin, there was like a dream version of Shuyin and Len within
Yeah,
that.
I don't even class the 10-2 stuff.
Yeah.
It just gets confused.
Yeah. But basically, there was like the whole of Zanakin was wiped out, so all these like people decided to put themselves in statues, as you do, and and started dreaming of their city, and then that just like time continued there.
Yeah.
For like 1,000 years or whatever it was, or how long ever they were dreaming. Yeah. And so like a whole life was happening, a whole like.
I think as soon as the sin thing came into it and like destroyed it, it's like, well, what did it destroy it? Because it makes you think like they destroyed the real sort of thing, and then it's like, I don't know.
They became real once they left the dream world. But
oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I mean clearly.
That's how much you like Titus, basically.
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's like the best thing about Titus is the fact that he likes Yuna, because Yuna's like a really good character. But the game really, if you think about it, is just all about Yuna.
Yeah, it is really.
So he's just kind of there.
Technically, she should be here, but he's like, "Oh, this is my story." It's like,
yeah.
Yuna's story.
He has this big thing. This is my story, and then like Auron, like every other character in the game was pretty much like. It was all about Titus, like learning about them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he just he developed kind of, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm really confused because I'm in this new land."
Yeah,
and
he was the most sort of like oblivious character.
And then like Lulu got pissed off with him, and then she sort of like grew to like him and stuff. I mean, like I said, he's all right.
I think he's only good because of the story development.
Yeah, I think like the story development and like the dynamic with the other characters. But then even then with like 10's stories really, not 10 stories, like 10's character development is really weird.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy 10 as a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because then you have Auron. He has like a massive relationship with Auron.
Yeah.
He has a massive relationship with Yuna. And Riku for a bit. And then Waka for a bit. But then that just kind of sort of like stops.
Yeah.
And then Lulu, he kind of develops with Lulu a bit. And Kamari just kind of there.
Just looks at him annoyed.
Yeah, and then he like develops with that. But then like, it's more about Yuna and like getting Yuna there and stuff. And then you find out like Yuna and Riku are cousins and stuff. So that's a big dynamic between them. But Titus doesn't get like a huge amount. He gets like obviously big character development, but not with other characters. And then like even Auron, like no one really says each other's name in that game, and it kind of feels like, okay, well they're not really.
Yeah. It's really weird. It's really disconnecting.
Like Auron never says like Waka and Lulu, or he says Kamari and he says Riku and Yuna, but he never refers to Waka and Lulu by their names.
Just hates them.
Yeah, and Auron's like 35.
Sure looks it.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough paper round he had.
Because he says like
he did ride through sin. He did ride.
Because it's every 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So actually, hang on. No, I've overestimated his age. Because he says to like Waka and Titus, like he's like, "Oh, I was just a boy about your age actually," but you don't know which one he's referring to. And Waka's 21.
Yeah.
And Titus is like 17, so he's either 27 or 31. Because it's every 10 years. So it's like, oh well, okay. I mean, he's not any age because he's dead, but
he's mouldy. That's why.
Maybe.
Spirit aged, fine wine. But yeah, Titus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've said all we can say about it.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
I'd say, I don't know. What do you think? I'd say like maybe the very bottom of Crystal Warrior.
Yeah. I was gonna put him in Phoenix Forms down, but yeah, that's.
Do you think? Yeah, Bob Firion.
I don't even see that bad.
I don't think he's.
I think the story puts him into Crystal Warrior.
Yeah, I think the story
is strong enough to like support him.
No, I don't know anything about Shantoto.
Right, with 11 and 14, we're gonna have to do a really vague thing what we know, and then we might have just like put it in the middle just to sort of compromise because you know.
What I understand about Shantoto is that she is very eccentric.
Because technically 11, she's the main character. She's just a notable character.
She's just a notable character,
Dissidia.
and they just used her for Dissidia for whatever reason.
Yeah.
She's I mean, we can look stuff up on her if you want, but yeah, let's just. I think
it's better to just focus on the ones we like know about like personally. Because you know. So what should we compromise just for the ones we're not sure
I mean, I know like a little bit about her, but
Yeah.
I don't know too much about her. I just know she's very eccentric. She's a mage, which makes her interesting. But like, she's all about experiments.
Yeah.
I think. I think you end up like fighting her at some point.
Oh yeah, probably.
But she's just very eccentric. She's like, a lot of people love her, so she must be like a good character within 11.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably what he chose for to see.
Yeah. I don't know. That's about all we can say about like Shantoto.
I just put in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the ones we like, we can't really have an opinion on. We should just put like in central as a sort of neutral.
Yes.
We don't really know.
Okay.
It's 12. We've got Vaughn and Rauschenberg. Dalmaska.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because Vaughn is very much just there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole game is about Balthier, Ash, Bash.
Again, I mean, they do it very well in telling an overall story.
Yeah.
Where they have the main sort of peasant, lower tier sort of character, unassuming, who gets swept into the big adventure sort of thing. But he never really has, unlike say like Zidane, who's just a thief, and then big stuff happens. He doesn't really have any sort of like big origins or connections other than his relationship with other characters that sort of develop.
Yeah, he's obviously like friends with Pinello. They're on the streets sort of thing. And he's just doing like random work and he's doing like random jobs and stuff.
He just wants to be a sky pirate.
Yeah, this is like basically like if you know Star Wars, the original trilogy of Star Wars.
He's just Luke without being a Jedi.
Yeah. There's no like, he doesn't really have like any special power, like he doesn't like develop some random power or anything. It's all about Ash.
Yeah.
Like the whole story is about
it's just him helping Ash and
yeah.
Pretty much.
There's no like, he doesn't even fall in love with Ash or anything because she's all hung up on her dead hubby.
Then it's not Balthier trying to sweep in there.
Yeah, like you can tell that like Ash kind of starts falling for like Balthier and stuff, which is really cool. Balthier is just an amazing character. Like
Balthier's a fool. He's got Fran, idiot. The greedy,
bunny thick.
Yeah. Ain't fake. She's Amazonian.
She's got a bum cheeks
She's
out.
thick upwards.
She's got bum cheeks out, Daniel. It's fine.
I couldn't hear her coming through the clap of her ass cheeks. Through the arrowy woods or whatever it is.
But Van's just like...
I was just talking about Fran, to be honest.
I know.
Yeah, Van's like really like unassuming in like even less than like Tidus. I'd probably load him Tidus, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's not much to talk about him. He's mainly
just
like his
there, and he's just like he wants to become a Sky Pirate, and then
there's
after
no
that,
real revelations about
he's just
him.
like mixed up with Balthier and Fran because like they're there, and then they just kind of like take him along.
Yeah.
And then like his whole thing is like his brother has died, and then he's
I guess that's his sort of.
I forgot about that. To be honest.
I know, yeah. So that's like his main motivation for like being part of the story. Yeah, because it's his brother.
And then like kind of like you find out that obviously like Gabranth.
Yeah.
Is it Gabranth?
Yeah.
It didn't sound like coming out of my mouth.
It was because then Bash is his brother, so Bash is the one who gets classed as a traitor because he killed
he killed Rex and the King and stuff.
Yeah.
Rex. And it's like spelled like R-E-K-S or something. It's like
Rex, get wrecked.
And then like once that happens, like you feel like that like Bash kind of takes like Van under his wing.
Yeah. He's
like the Obi-Wan character.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like he takes him under his wing, but then like after that nothing happens.
He really isn't. He's the old war hero.
Yeah.
He really is just a fan of Star Wars. I remember when it came out, it was saying he was like Star Wars, and he really is.
It was like, by the way, do you like Star Wars? Yes. Then I know a cracking story for you.
It's this one. It's Star Wars. I mean, Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. I know it well. I can't really say much more about.
No, because it's just like there's nothing.
There's no
like,
big like development later on. It's just him. His brother died. He's got it out. That's why he's got it out for the Empire.
Yeah. Like just that everyone
I guess
else.
his interaction with Bash once because he thinks it's him sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean that helps a little bit.
But apart from that, him and Penella don't really get any development.
No.
I mean the interactions with him and characters is pretty cool and stuff, but it's not like.
Yeah, again,
he doesn't really develop that much. He's always the same.
It's just again, it's about the other characters. Like it's about Balthier, it's about Ash, because they get like Ash is all about obviously she's like Princess Leia. She's like trying to become the big. She's trying to stop the Empire.
It is just Luke Skywalker without him developing his bigger role.
And then you have Balthier, who's basically Han Solo, and then that's why they have such a like Balthier and Ash have like this big like dynamic together.
Yeah.
And then you learn that obviously like Balthier was a judge, and that his dad is Sid. That was like, oh, I can't wait for that.
Can't go into that.
I can't wait for that.
It's fantastic.
It's just like that's just like huge character development, and like Van just doesn't get that. He's just
not really.
His brother's dead. He thinks it was Bash. It wasn't. He's a little shit on the street.
He's a little street rat.
Little street rat.
How low are we gonna put him? No, Andrew's
I don't know.
Is he lower than Phoenix Thumbs Down? Because I don't know if any on the list are really that bad. But
no,
I reckon he's around Furion.
I'd say he's higher than Furion because he does have.
He does have like
He does have an arc for about 20 minutes of the game. Furion has a whole game.
He's important for 20 minutes and then he isn't.
And you have to do like running through the castle and then like his what are they called? Quickenings. Was it Quickenings?
Yeah.
They're pretty decent.
Yeah, they are. I was gonna say because like in the original you can equip any weapon.
Yeah.
I don't remember the original one because I just remember International Edition.
Yeah.
All the job classes. But yeah, it's pretty weak.
Yeah.
And then, our favourite installment, Final Fantasy 13. But Lightning as a character.
Lightning as a character is actually a decent character.
We were excited because it's like, female character finally again.
Yeah.
It's about bloody time.
Yeah. Because the last one was Terra.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Shantoto there, but at the time she wasn't really referenced.
She's not technically a main character.
Yeah.
It's an online game. But so 13 obviously very divisive.
Yes, very
for good
divisive.
cause because it was doing
The thing about 13 though is like, at least in Lightning's perspective, like she did have really good character development.
Yeah.
Not so much anyone else, but Lightning did.
There was a few good characters.
It was just like stupid stuff. Like Hope had like this big character arc, like because it was like when that Eidolons appeared, it was like, oh well, this is like their big defining moment sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then like Hope's was like, his big defining moment was when he finally like confronted Snow.
Yeah.
That was
mom
like
died.
And
his MILF.
Yeah. And that was like a big defining moment for Hope, and that should have been like his point. Yeah. And then he became like stronger, and you could tell like he became more serious. And we're talking about Hope and not Lightning, but I'm getting to it. But then like all of a sudden, when you got to Grand Pulse, he was like, "Oh, I'm just so like feeble again." He just went back to being like a little like nonce. And he was just like,
Andrew really loves Hope.
I used to like Hope. I like Hope for the fact that he has a boomerang.
Hey, you don't boomerang. That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
We're not ranking Hope, no.
But I was just trying to say like that their character development was really weird, because then all of a sudden you got to Grand Pulse and he was like,
the structure of that game was messy.
And then all of a sudden that's when Alexander appeared, and then that was his Eidolon battle, and it was like, well, it shouldn't have been then. But Lightning was always really good all the way through.
Yeah.
I felt like Lightning was a strong character because she was the main character.
Yeah.
She wasn't the best main character.
She was all about after her sister, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was like, she was trying to rescue her sister.
And what's this been like branded? Was that it or something? Or taken or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, she became. Yeah, she got crystallized, didn't she?
Yeah.
But she wasn't. She didn't, and then she did, because they had like those roles, didn't they? It was like the sea.
Yeah, it was confusing.
Yeah. I think Lightning did have she had good character development.
Yeah.
Like she started, because the thing with like Lightning is like everyone's like, oh, she's the female Cloud, and she's not really the female Cloud.
No.
She's actually more of a female Squall at first.
Yeah.
She's not emo, but she's very angry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
Cloud's not angry, and Squall's more standoffish than Cloud. But like everyone always compares her to Cloud, and it's just like she's not.
I think it's more like stylistically wise.
Yeah.
She sort of like takes on like all the enemies single-handedly.
Yeah.
And it's a very Cloud thing to do. Yeah.
But like, so the problem is I only played 13 once, so
Same.
After
12, yeah, it was most of the games I played through once now.
She starts off and she's like, obviously like you said, she's very standoffish. She hates snow.
Yeah.
She really dislikes snow, and I mean, I can't blame her.
Because he was engaged to a
sister, and then he let her, basically. He didn't let her, but she feels like...
Alright, Lightning. He let her. He let her die.
Sorry, I was channeling my inner Claire.
Claire Farron, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's another... We're back to the classic last name.
Claire Farron. But like when you like see the flashbacks of Lightning, she is very kind of like happy. She's not... She's not like, she doesn't hate Snow at that point. She only starts hating Snow because he...
It's really jarring though, seeing that, because like, her voice acts just like, does the whole, I'm moody, And then like when you go back and she's alive, it's just like, I'm having a good time, but she still sounds like moody. And it's like, oh my god.
And she's another, is she an ex-soldier?
Yeah, she like, was like for Pulse or whatever it was.
Yeah, and she becomes like, she just like, becomes
that game threw a lot of like terms and names at you.
Yeah, it did. And you just basically you try and escape from that. I don't remember, like I just remember like random characters.
Half the game you try to escape. That's why I was so linear, because you just spent most of it on the run.
Yeah. And I'm just like she does have really good development. She has like good arcs with each of the characters.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much with Vanille. I don't remember having much like too much with Vanille, but she did with Fang. She had good character development with Fang. She had great character development with Hope, because she's like the one. She's like, well, yeah, I hate Snow, but I don't hate him enough to kill him, even though I want to.
Even though I've tried several times.
So I've basically punched him. There's a good that raises her up a bit. She punched Snow. And without like the problem. Because we're not including like the sequels and stuff. There's like a lot of Lightning's development does happen in the sequels, but we don't talk about those.
They're class of spin-offs and therefore do not count.
Yeah. But
I don't know. They sort of do Lightning, but like in a different way.
Yeah.
So even though it's development, it's sort of like developed into a different style.
It's really hard to, because like a lot of it is about Lightning. But like, there's so many sections in the game where you just like you're playing as Lightning, and then she ends up with Lightning and Hope, and then it's like Saz and Vanille together, and then it's and then like Snow and Fang, like they join together for a bit.
Yeah, because it's also like the gameplay wise, it's telling you like, oh, these are the characters sort of class things, and these are the combinations that are like work well and stuff. So it's sort of like a tutorial, but also with getting the characters to interact.
Yeah.
So like it figures into like gameplay wise.
Yeah. I think that Lightning, she's very caring, but she comes off as like you said standoffish. But then like once she's like with Hope and stuff, and she sees how angry he is.
Yeah.
And she like changes, like I think she's like the main influence of like his development. And then once he sees Snow,
they've sort of only got each other sort of thing.
Yeah,
like they're connected by sisters. Yeah,
and like she does get really good development. Like eventually she stops hating Snow and stuff. Like she realizes that he's not the villain in this. Like she sees him as like, she doesn't see him as like an evil person. She just sees him as like this person that's in her way, and he messed up her sister, and her and Sarah are really close. So
messed up my sister.
Yeah,
that's about all I can say about it, really.
You put a compelling argument forward, Andrew, because I didn't remember a lot of it.
I have a good memory.
Also,
really good memory.
Got a gunblade.
She had a different gunblade, and that was actually really cool. And
sword that turned into a gun.
Yeah, it was an actual sword that turned into a gun, which is really cool. And then she got Odin as her.
Yeah, it's idol.
Yeah, which was really cool.
They were all transformers.
Yeah, they were. They all turned into like some sort of vehicle. I mean, hers wasn't
Cool,
really
but
big
really random.
vehicle. He turned into the horse, but like all the others
A
were
horse car.
Yeah, all the others were some sort of vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad. Cool way of doing it. But... So, where would you put it?
I think I'm going to be really controversial with this.
Yeah, put higher.
Yeah.
Put how high?
Bottom Bahamut.
That is controversial, Andrew.
I don't think
You're a better man than I. But then again, yeah, because like you look at these below.
Yeah. Like, she's better than Bart.
Yeah.
But is she Bahamut? I think because, I don't know. It's hard. I don't want like everyone to be in the Crystal Warrior, because I think that's pretty much like where everyone's going to be from now on.
I think she makes it just because like she gets a lot of character development.
She does get a lot of character development.
She gets it mainly because like the game is all about character development.
Yeah, it's very character development focused. As much as it does it wrong.
Would you reckon she's a good character?
I'd say she's a...
I don't think she's a bad one.
No.
I think that the bitterness of 13 makes me hate her more than should.
Yeah. I think if you look at if you take out the whole 13, which
take out the game,
take out the game, you just have Lightning as a character. Like if you saw Lightning,
yeah, and
you watched a show and it was just all about Lightning,
the Lightning show,
Lightning never strikes twice. What? It's not even the same.
Only one episode, so yeah. Never 2 episodes.
That's why they did 13 too, and she wasn't in it.
Yeah, she's off somewhere. Off 32.
I think she just scrapes the bottom of the barrel of Bahamut class.
Andrew, she's the only one here who got 2 sequels.
Yeah, and you know what? This is interesting. I think this is probably more of a fact for later on, but I want to say it now.
Go on.
She's actually considered the strongest protagonist.
Oh, right.
There's they did a poll, not a poll. They did an interview and they asked the Final Fantasy creators who were the 3 strongest protagonists, and they said Cloud, Lightning, and in order it was Lightning, Cloud, Noctis.
Yeah, I was gonna say Noctis showed up there
because of what happens with her.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the sequel.
Yeah, I think she's not as good as Bart. She's better than Bart, but I don't think she's as good as Bart.
No. Yeah, go on then. In Bahamut class with her. And then 14, it's the same as 11.
We don't really know anything about Ishtola.
Yeah.
She just is.
Yeah.
I from what I understand, because here that's her basic form.
Yeah.
And she has a twig.
Put her in a bed, she's got a twig.
And then when you see her develop and stuff, when you actually see her in the cutscenes for what I saw of it in Dissidia, she's she's got a really cool staff, and she's got this very regal mage look to her. She doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
I literally just don't know anything about her, but I assume she's a really good mage. Again, she's another mage, so that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you see mages as big representation.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a warrior with a mage companion.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy, at least.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I reckon we gotta dump Prince Crystal Warrior again because we just don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
She could be really good. She might be really bad. We just don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just because the problem is we couldn't really leave out 11 and 14.
Yeah, because the main entries.
The main entries, but the main characters are what is considered the main characters of them, or the faces.
Yeah, and also that's another reason why I can't do really 11, 14 either, because the main character technically is whoever you create.
Yeah.
Because they're central to the story, so it's... Oh. And then finally...
Noctis.
The latest main installment was Final Fantasy 15 with Noctis as the main character.
Yeah.
With the lowest quality JPEG in existence. Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Can do, because you'll probably just slam it. Yeah, 15 was a weird one, wasn't it? Because it just took so long to come out.
Because it wasn't originally 15.
Yeah, it was versus 13.
Versus 13.
And now it's with 13.
Yeah.
Which is mental to say. Yeah, so he kind of changed over because we saw bits of him and his design changed a bit.
Yeah.
First impressions of it's like he's not a super strong main character at all.
The thing that makes Noctis, I think, is the other characters.
Yeah.
Like all the other characters, including like what's she called? Luna? Is it Luna? Is the girl? Stella.
Something like that. I don't remember.
Oh, Luna something.
Oh yeah, Luna Freya.
Yeah, Luna Freya.
Yeah.
Like even her, like she gives him like a purpose and stuff, and like
yeah. It's because again he chose a character type who was just like, oh, I'm just lazy and can't bother.
Yeah, he was like.
But his role was like really like important because he's like.
He was like
prince.
he was like Prince, and he was just kind of like out on a boys' night sort of thing.
Lads' night out.
And he was just like kind of like a lazy sort of thing. You wouldn't look at him and think, oh, he's a prince. He's kind of like that. He kind of came off as like the spoiled, but sort of like rich kid prince, but that's not him at all.
Yeah, he's like underassuming. He's just wants to be left alone, sort of thing.
Yeah, and then I think like the other characters do help him out and stuff, but he's not that strong of a character.
No, I think it's another case of his character sort of just going along and a story around him being like bigger than he is sort of thing, and him just having to be at the center of it.
Yeah.
Because he's the prince and he has to sort of
because he's kind of like he's basically like on the run.
Yeah.
Because like
because originally he was just meant to take him to like meet like Luna, weren't he? Sort of thing. He was gonna get married and stuff. And obviously it all goes pear-shaped. As things do.
I think one thing that really like kind of pulled him down for me was his reaction to his dad dying.
I can't remember what it was.
They're on the
phone on the They're
like on the like in that hotel on the dock.
Yeah.
And Ignis walks up to him and he goes, "Oh, your dad's dead" or something. And he's just like
that.
He's just like, "What?" And then Ignis is like, "Calm down. We've got to think." It's like,
calm down, man. You're a bit hysterical.
Like, what? There's like no real like emotion to his dad dying, and he's supposed to be really close with his dad.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's just his character is like he's really just like internalized. He's sort of like a bit like Squall in a way.
Yeah.
He's just like really quiet and sort of.
I mean, he's really powerful, like we've said. Like that's why he is in the top.
Yeah, in terms of like badassery, being like the ultimate here, because like when we first saw him and like all his weapons like appearing around and stuff, he was ridiculous. It's really cool. I haven't seen anything like it before.
I just think like his character development does bring him down, but his play style is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think if you like, his strengths are him as a group with his mates.
Yeah, and it's all like it's very centralized around.
Yeah,
like,
it's based around him and his brothers, basically.
Yeah, and then like when they go down, you have to go up to them, you have to help them up and help them out and stuff. So it's very like camaraderie.
Yeah.
Camaraderie.
Conglomerate.
It's
a big conglomerate of men.
And you find out like all these different story points, and then he starts like getting summons, and you're like,
yeah, the summons are really cool the way they.
Yeah. And you're like, bloody hell, where are you getting these from, lad?
From up the ground.
And those battles are like the fact that he can take on those summons.
Yeah.
You don't fight Shiva, do you?
No, she pays via a story point.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Because she's someone, which is really random.
You don't fight Rama either, do you? I know you fight Titan.
No, you get him from like a stone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Rama's like the first one we get, I think.
You fight Titan, and that's a fantastic battle. And obviously, you fight Ifrit.
Yes.
He's like the big evil.
Yeah.
Part of the big
he's been
evil.
All corrupted, yeah.
And then you have like Bahamut that looks really weird.
Yeah, Bahamut's it's really cool. I was really disappointed that Bahamut didn't appear more than that.
Yeah.
Because he was just really cool, nice.
There's like the big like weird story point of like
the end game stuff.
Yeah. It's like that. I think because of the way that 15 was as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously didn't they run out of money, or they were struggling or something, and they just felt
I don't know. I think something happened where they wanted to bring out like 6 DLC and something. They could only bring out like 4. In the end.
Because like the way that the end of the story went, it was very open, and then all of a sudden you went off to do.
There was a lot of holes missing.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, because it's basically a point where you'd lose Noctis, and then it's like years later and like all this shit's happened. And
it's just like from what it was like really open. You could go off, you could explore and stuff, and then it just became like the last half of the game became really linear.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it all happened really fast, but then he did die intentionally because they were doing it around DLC. And the DLC were filling the gaps, which obviously like well.
Yeah, they never got to play that.
Eventually, the DLC were really good. Like, if you play it all, including the DLC, like, you know, the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
It all just, like, fits and it fills in all the gaps and stuff.
I might have to get it just because then I can, like, stream it and
yeah,
stuff.
That'd be good. New Blow actually will make sense now. Because you can get Arden's episode.
Yeah.
And you see, like, what happened to, like, he, like, destroyed a city and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
So I think...
Chicken noodle soup.
That's what I was thinking.
Speaking of Arden, chicken noodle soup.
This is hard.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, because we've got to judge him on his own because he's the main character.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that strong at all.
I don't think he was that strong as the main character.
But as a playable character?
Yes,
I
I'd
really
bump him up. Originally, I was going to put him in Phoenix thumbs down,
yeah.
But he's better than anyone else in that tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think...
Better than Titus?
Yes. I think Titus has better character development. But Titus,
like, I thought Titus worse than Onion Knight. I think we might have to swap them around.
Yeah, why did we do that? I think I was supposed to put him at the front, but I just put him there.
Yeah. We'll do a swap around at the end.
I think I just grabbed and removed it.
It's like Onion Knight better than him. Jesus.
I mean, on the video you can like.
Yeah, we do at the end where we go through and then we swap them all. So yeah, where Noctis? Where Noctis?
Where Noctis?
Should we put him high? Is he better than Bart's?
Yes.
So do you reckon top of Crystal Warrior?
Yeah, I don't.
Or is he better than Lightning?
Yeah, it's tough. No, I don't think he's better than Lightning.
Yeah, because Lightning has a stronger character.
She has a stronger character, and she has like. He has the badassery, but he doesn't have the.
In terms of gameplay, Noctis. In terms of like their character, Lightning.
Yeah.
So it's annoying.
Do you want to, like one random fact?
What?
The guy that does his voice, is Master of Masters.
Yeah. Nice. It's him. It's him all along.
So that can bump him up. That's ultimate take. It's just the Master of Masters and his fucking like jovial attitude.
Why didn't he act like that as Noctis? We would have been in the top.
I think he's between the two. I think. I think his character development doesn't put him in Bahamut class, but then his Crystal Warrior, his gameplay style puts him higher than Crystal Warrior. But I think he's probably not as good as Lightning. But I think he's top Crystal.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that's fair.
Or do you think he should be Bahamut?
It's really hard because I obviously enjoyed 15 a lot more than I enjoyed 13.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but it's based on the character though.
Yeah, he was really unassuming. But he had some really like poignant like character points.
Yeah, he did. He had like that whole section with Leviathan.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Because you kind of just feel really sorry for him, really. Cause he just feels like a prince who doesn't want to be a prince.
You know who I
dragged along.
really didn't like in that game?
Go on.
Gladio.
Didn't you? No. Why?
It pissed me off. Especially that end bit, like when that all happened and like Luna Freya died. And like Noctis was like really depressed and he was really upset. He lost his dad, he's lost her.
Yeah.
And Gladio's just like, stop being a baby. Go on.
He was
just being like a massive dick for no reason. I was just like, alright, okay, well I don't really give a shit. I felt like he was like the bottom of the characters, even though he was like Noctis's best friend.
Yeah, he was the least strong. Prompto and Ignis were up there.
Yeah, they were really good. Because again, that's another thing, was like, he was all about his friends, so he was very focused around those and like their development with each other. So they played off each other.
Yeah.
But Noctis on his own.
I think actually Gladio's like episode was like the weakest one as well.
Yeah.
From what I've heard. So.
Gladio was like Kupu.
Gladio getting the poo. Getting the cute poo. So yeah, top of Crystal Warrior then?
Do you think top or do you think Bahamut bottom? Oh. It's hard. It's like he's like right between the two.
Let's put him behind Lightning. Let's give him.
All right. Let's give him more credit than he's worth. No. I think he's deserving of that spot.
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite Crystal. I can't even call Crystal Maze.
Crystal. I was gonna say it's Daro Brain and Crystal Maze, but that wasn't his name.
Right. Okay. So let's go through.
Go through the top. So
Ultimate tier. Cloud and Zidane joint first.
yeah, it's fair.
I think.
Terra behind.
Yeah. Terra behind.
Terra bringing up the rear.
Oh, Terra her behind.
Oh, disgusting.
I was gonna say something that I don't want to say.
that was bad enough.
I'll tell you after.
And then for Bahama class, we've got Cecil first.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through. So, do you think Squall behind Cecil?
I was just thinking
Or
that.
Squall in
Do you
front
think,
of Cecil?
Squall's in front of Cecil because of?
I think maybe we should swap them around.
Yeah, because Cecil's a good character, but Squall.
I think we put him there because he was the first,
Yes.
good, strong character.
Yeah.
Over compared to the others.
Where's sideshow Cecil?
I was gonna say,
I've done it again.
I just leave the anchor point alone.
It
Leave
keeps-
Bianca's point alone.
Now, is Cecil better than Lightning? I think the other two are above Cecil. I think Cecil's probably.
Yeah, but with Cecil. I can't keep saying Cecil. It's such a funny name. Cecil.
I think Cecil's a regular character for
Well,
this.
yeah, the others kind of have to be better because they're just for when they were made and the sort of they have that advantage of having better character development because more went into him, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with that.
But I think let's just say that because his importance is the first.
I think
main character.
Cecil is.
Cecil-tastic.
And the Cecil-tastic.
Okay, so just gloss past that. Crystal Warrior. We've got Bart's in first.
We've got Mr. Butts.
And we've got
What's he called? Bart's Klauser.
Klauser, yeah, he's all German.
Yeah. Because Butts is a German name.
Is it right?
Yeah. That's why he was called Butts.
That's fantastic.
It's not even like a translation error. It's actually it was actually supposed to be called Butts, but they changed it because it was called Butts.
In Western, yeah, it means something else. Warrior of Light behind Bart's. That's okay.
I think the only one that I think we
Checking Warrior of Light and the Onion Knight are gonna get knocked down a lot here.
Yeah.
I think Tidus should be in front of Bart's.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. So Tidus knocked up front and then the others remain, sort of thing.
Yeah, because we don't know anything about champions.
They just can just stay in the end because
they're just there because they're.
It's just a neutral place for them.
Yeah. I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
It's a neutral planet. Yeah, Tidus goes in first and then the others get knocked down.
It's
Knocked down a block.
But Bunyan Knight and Barrier of Bite.
Andrew, you got it. I'm going to unfriend you now. And then we actually had none in the worst here, which is a testament to these games.
Yeah.
Well, technically we could have put Varn in there and Furion because but they weren't awful.
No, that's the thing, is that they're not awful.
They were just really unimportant.
As Ben and Peter say, they're not awful. They're just worse than most.
They're just awfuler than awfuls.
There we go.
So then Phoenix swims and we've got Varn and then Furion. Is that order alright with you?
Yeah.
I think so.
Right, I just don't really care about Furion.
I mean, Varn could probably be at the bottom of Crystal Warrior, but I think compared to the others,
yeah, he doesn't
shine. There, isn't he?
He doesn't shine to
Like
me.
Furion, he's just there.
Yeah. I think that is a tier list.
That is a tier list.
Oh, that was a good one, Andrew.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that. Oh, yeah, that's
It was it was really hard actually, but
It was harder than I thought it'd be.
I thought I'd let's do a smaller one, and it's
still an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
it's fine.
So, that is going to be the end of this Great British Rank Off.
That's the one. That's the name of it.
I know, I've completely forgot the name of it. I was like, British Ranking.
British ranking system.
And so, yeah, let us know in the comments who you'd have in your tiers.
Where would you put and where?
Who, why, what, where. And just take into account everything about them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't really like them, just think about how.
Yeah, their pros and their cons.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can make a harsh judgment like we did.
We completely judge these fictional characters very, very harshly.
But I think that's good.
Yes.
So join us in our next one, which we don't know what we're doing yet. We're
mixing it up. We're trying to make them as different as possible.
Yes.
Each time,
So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you.
Gamer.
Yeah, don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at The Drew Gamer, and don't forget to check out Dan at Danji's Designs on all his social medias and at danjisdesigns.com. Make sure to, if you're looking for any artwork you need doing, contact Daniel and he'll do it. And we'll see you in the next one.
Okay.
Bye.